Wuthering Waves is applauded for its fantastic innovations to open-world exploration, with unlimited sprinting out of combat, the ability to run up walls, and even double jumps in the air. You certainly have every tool you need to make farming and exploration simple. If you see something or someone on your map, it's clear where or what you need to do to get there. But what if you could go even faster?
Gotta go fast.
Yo, you wanna see some real...
Today I'll be covering some of the top methods players can use to take their overworld navigation to the next level. Rather than diving into some extremely complicated aerial maneuver that has inputs that look like you're playing a Street Fighter character, we'll be focusing on the easiest methods, characters, and echoes that players can use to speed up their journey to 100% map completion or their grind to an inventory full of 5-star echoes. To start us off, we're first going to take a look at that initial 1.0 roster and identify the standouts when it comes to fast movement, either horizontally or vertically. The highlights here will start off with Alto. While he may not be top tier in the Tower of Adversity meta, Alto provides some of the most useful exploration mechanics in the game through the use of his Resonance skill and 4th basic attack. These abilities both create a wind gate that Alto can dash through to consume his forte bar and charge up wind bullets, but most importantly, he runs at a faster speed during this dash. While charging up to his basic attack does take a while, his Resonance skill is a very fast cast, and with Sequence Node 1 has an extremely short cooldown. His enhanced sprint also consumes no stamina, even when in combat with enemies. This can make escaping from mobs that you've accidentally aggroed very easy. You just have to make sure to create enough distance so that you don't auto-target the enemies chasing after you with his skill. The main downside to Alto's sprint is that you won't actually regain stamina during it, even if you're out of combat. Our next character that's an absolute fiend for speed is none other than Verina. Given the many different ways we were able to obtain 5-star characters and her ranking in the meta, it's likely that many of the player base has her. Verina's main advantage is her ability to spam consecutive heavy attacks to move across the floor like a slip and slide. The only downside to this is that it consumes stamina, a lot of it, and it can be very unfortunate when you accidentally walk into aggro range of a group of mobs and now you have no stamina to get out of it. Thankfully, if you have Alto on your lineup alongside Verina, you can just hightail it out of there. Just make sure your stamina isn't down to 0. The optimal way to manage travel with these two characters is to first spam heavy attacks as Verina, and when you only have a small amount of stamina left, switch to Alto and use his Resonance skill to sprint for some additional time. In areas with a lot of mobs, it can be better just to stick to Alto and avoid Verina auto-targeting enemies with her heavy attacks. We've covered a few characters who excel on the ground, but what about those who excel in the air? When it comes to 1.0's roster, Gian is generally the only character who can realistically aid in aerial travel, with his heavy attack, when held, actually propelling him into the air, and his Resonance skill castable while in the air to gain horizontal distance with no vertical drop-off. This makes Gian incredibly useful when navigating across cliffs, like when you're doing your daily Lampy Lumen farm. If you've ever needed to glide to a faraway distance, there truly is no better character than Gian to take you to your destination faster. So now that we've covered some of the big standouts within the character roster, it's time to take a look at echoes. If you're traveling over land and likely to encounter many groups of different enemies, you can't go wrong with Infernal Rider. This echo allows a player to, when held, transform into both the Infernal Rider and his motorcycle to speed across the overworld. However, this mode only lasts for a few seconds and has a sizable cooldown. It's also possible to accidentally dodge cancel out of it completely into a group of mobs. However, you regenerate stamina during the transformation, making it incredibly useful in combination with a heavy stamina consumer like Verina. The only downside to this echo is the fact that, well, it's only found on the fusion set, which means that it only works well, combat-wise, on fusion characters. However, with the scaling of enemies within the overworld very manageable for a single built DPS, losing one of your supportive Sonata sets in exchange for speed is a trade that many players might be willing to take at this point in the game. Our next echo is far more universal in who can use it both in travel and in combat. The Impermanent Teran is our next echo on the list due to its sheer vertical capability. When held, this echo will transform the character into the Heron and soar high, breathing some havoc fire down on enemies. While this echo doesn't travel particularly fast in the air, its initial jump can allow players to dodge cancel at its apex and quickly gain a ton of vertical height. As this echo carries the Moonlit Clouds Sonata set, it's a fantastic choice for any sub-DPS character, as it will actually have an effect in combat. If you're a fan of Alto's overworld movement, this might be one of his strongest echo abilities, as it synergizes fantastically with his outro skill in combat, while additionally adding some vertical movement into his mainly horizontally focused kit. Our last echo is another echo that excels in the air, though it's mainly used for horizontal movement. The Feathered Heron can be used on either the ground or in the air to rapidly advance forward. This echo also resets your air dodge, allowing for a player to use 2 double jumps in combination with the echo. It can be used in a very similar way to Gian's resonance skill, and when combined with his kit, can cover a ludicrous amount of distance in almost no time at all. This is especially useful in areas like the Winding Aches' Mire, and ironically makes farming more cyan-feathered cranes much easier. When you're able to take all of these echoes and characters and combine them together into one team, the results can be very impressive. All you have to do is ensure that you're managing your stamina bar correctly, so that you're never empty, as regeneration from 0 stamina can take quite a while. The other bonus of combining all 3 of these characters is that they actually all work together in a proper team. Gian provides the main DPS role in grouping for any encounter, Verina provides incredible amounts of sustain and damage boosts, while Alto provides some fantastic buffs and a little bit of off-field damage for Gian through his outro skill and ultimate. There are undoubtedly stronger teams for endgame content, by replacing Alto with Mortefi, but for overworld exploration and farming, this team is a lot more mobile and a lot more flexible in what it can do. Hopefully, this overview was helpful in highlighting some of the fastest ways to traverse the wonderful world of Wuthering Waves. With these tips in mind, you can dramatically decrease the amount of time that it takes to go from point A to point B, and improve how you farm, explore, or complete quests. If you're looking for the opportunity to put some of these skills to the test, feel free to check out some of my farming videos, links in the description and on the screen. Best of luck on your Echo, Substat, and Gacha rolls. Peace out.